we're live. Alright, so this is going to be our first official podcast. We are going to introduce ourselves first as the Hotshots of Vector Sigma. I'm Dan, and I'm here with Mark.
Hey guys.
Mark, why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Well, I guess you just want to know TCG related stuff, not my whole life story and all my hardships, growing up as a kid, So, I started playing Magic way back in Tempest. Been playing on and off for a while. Started playing competitively in Darksteel, and nothing too heavy. Never really had any decent finishes, a few day twos and some Grand Prix, stuff like that. And in the last few years, real life, job, that kind of stuff changed what I was able to do with Magic. I couldn't justify spending the amount that you had to spend to keep up with Standard, to only play it maybe once every 2 months. So I got into Force of Will. I started vending with Barcadia Games and Matt Hawkins. Did that for a year and a half.
I didn't know you knew Matt.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I know Matt.
He contracted me as his buyer.
Okay.
And then we decided to just run things. And for the one season, we vended 4 Grand Prix. We vended Masters in Vegas. There was a big debacle in Vegas. And then shortly after that, I don't know if it was related or not, we kind of didn't get cards that we wanted or deals that we wanted to either vend and that kind of stuff, so we kind of just fell by the wayside. Didn't really do anything for a while, and then this TCG was announced, and I was like, well, I like Transformers. I was kind of nostalgic from my childhood, so I was like, you know what? There's not technically any organized play for this, but there's going to be a great following for this, so I was like, I'm going to try my hand at vending that. So I bought a whole bunch of product on release, sold it all, and then started playing, because I'm actually able to play this. I wasn't able to play Force of Will because we had booths, because they had Grand Prix. So this I've been able to play, and I ended up talking to Scott, and here I am. Went to PAX Unplugged. I guess now part of this Vector Sigma deal. So that's pretty much my shtick. How about you, Dan?
So, yeah, same story. Not really at all. But I've been playing card games for as long as I can remember, dating back to Pokemon to Yu-Gi-Oh for a short period, and then my first love was probably Magic. I started playing Magic in the original Mirrodin. It's a lot of fun, a lot of just fun learning from that. And same with you. I had one day two to Nationals for Magic, which was cool. But my biggest gripe with Magic was lands. I hated losing a game because of lands. And then this little old game came out called World of Warcraft TCG. And one of my childhood friends says, dude, you gotta try this game. Now, at the time, I never played WoW, the video game, nothing. I knew nothing about the WoW universe whatsoever. But from the first moment I played that game, I fell in love. I loved WoW. It brought me all over the world, in retrospect, even though I travel for a living. This was just another version of that. And it led me to Scott. I've known Scott, I don't know, 10 years now, maybe, realistically. And we traveled everywhere together, and we had a blast. When WoW went down, pretty much since WoW ended, I had trouble finding a new home. When it came to card games, I came back. I went back to Magic at first because it was one of those oh, this is stable. I can play this because there's other people playing this, so I just want to do that. But it was kind of the same scenario as you were saying. I couldn't justify the means of paying all this money to play in these mediocre events because the people I was playing with didn't want to travel. They didn't want to go to Grand Prix. They didn't want to put the effort in to even for even me to acknowledge to go to a Grand Prix. I'm not going to go to Grand Prix half-assed. I'm just not going to do it. So I after a while died. I went to Magic. I played a little bit of Game of Thrones. We played Destiny for a little bit. I won a couple regionals for Destiny, which was cool. But then with FFG system and not being able to like get to Worlds and stuff like that, I just kind of like went away again. And I mean, I had 2 kids in that time, so that put a struggle on card games as well. But this game had came out. I had heard about it. Scott really took it head on by building the website, and then I showed up at PAX, and here we are now, a couple months later, have our podcast about it.
Yeah, it's kind of cool the way things work out, lead you back, or, I mean, you got here by playing cards and knowing Scott.
Yeah.
I came to know Scott and you because I wanted to vend.
Yeah.
I'm not really vending. Now I'm actually playing, actively playing, and really enjoy this game, this deck building, trying to make it a competitive scene. And it's kind of, I don't know any other way to describe it. It's just awesome to be there at the ground level of something, which I've never been at the ground level of any sort of card game, community, anything like that. And we're just building Vector Sigma with Scott the way that we want to build it, and we want to showcase, competitive Transformers. Yeah,
we want to work towards that to show that this game can be competitive, and that we can have these high level tournaments, and it hopefully just keeps going, and hopefully it just keeps growing. And last week, we had an event at Showcase Comics and Games, and it was 21 players for just a random event, really,
Yeah, and
that's pretty cool.
There's another, hopefully, a big one coming up. Top Tech Games in New Jersey. That's coming up February 16th. It's going to be a case event. Yeah. Hopefully, we get 20 plus players to that as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think we're also very fortunate that we're kind of...
We're in a good community.
Right. We're in this area. There's Jersey and Philly, and there's enough people that want to play. And we're all kind of conducive to this area.
We're within a 3-hour range of a lot of different types of players.
Right, and
which is good.
Our whole team...
We're willing to travel.
We're willing to travel, and we're also within 2 hours of all of us getting together.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool, not that we currently... play test during the week or any of that kind of stuff, but always able to talk kind of on the same schedule. And we get to see each other at least once, at least. At least once. Hopefully it's going to be twice, maybe.
Yeah.
Sometimes 3 times.
If it keeps growing and like different stores keep having these one-off events, then, we're going to be there.
Yeah. We'll be there supporting the game, playing, hopefully crushing people.
Yeah. So, speaking of playing... Up to this point in the game, what decks have you been playing?
Well,
what has been your go-to in Wave 1?
My go-to has been Bugs. I've always liked aggressive decks. Being able to sequence out turns and put the most amount of damage that you can do with what you have, with the resources that you have. This game is slightly different than, Magic, which is the only thing I can really, go back to. But the resources in this are completely different. You get, your action, your upgrade, and your transform and attack. And your sequencing is incredibly important, whereas it's not as important in those other resource-based systems. If you just don't draw your resources, you can't do anything. Whereas here you have all your resources.
And you actively have to attack.
Yes, you have to attack. You can't just not attack. Right.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to strategically set up 2-3 turns in advance what's going on, and that's really cool. And I think Bugs lets you do that really well. I've played a bunch of other decks. The only deck that I really haven't played is Metroplex. That thing does not entice me at all.
You don't like one big dude?
No.
And get some little dudes?
I mean, yeah, maybe if we're in prison.
Hey, we got a couple teammates that love it.
Yeah, and I mean, it's cool. I think it's a gimmick, but it's obviously done well for...
It's done well enough.
It's done well for Palmer. It's done well for Joe. He did well at PAX. He went 4-1. So, it has legs.
It hasn't done well for Vince.
Well, most things haven't done well for Vince, but, I mean, we're working on a Megatron Living Weapon deck. That was really cool.
That was for the charity, yeah.
Yeah. I played that at PAX, too.
Yeah, you did.
I went 4-1 twice with that at PAX. And then Cars, but that's gone through so many iterations. I've played the different iterations of Primes, just Optimus Prime, Battlefield Legend, like all those iterations. I just don't like it. The card's too good. I don't like that.
Okay.
I want to try and leverage skill. Not that that anybody else can't do that. Like, I'm a mid-range player.
Sure.
Or an aggressive player. I like to eke out edges where I can. I mean, that card is just so good. I just don't like the style of play that you have to play when you play him. It's just too powerful for me. I want to be the underdog. Okay. It's just kind of what I've done. How about you? What have you been playing?
A lot of Dinobots. So, as I said earlier, first time I ever touched the game was at PAX, and I bought into the 2-pack thing and made my little deck. John Palmer basically taught me how to play the game in about 20 minutes, and then I looked at Scott and I said, "Hand me something," and he handed me Dinobots, and there I went. I think I played it 3 out of 4 times that weekend. I think I went 3-2 twice and 2-3 once. And then in the other one, the Saturday, I went 4-1. When I started the 4-0, I, played really poorly in the 5th round and lost, so I didn't go undefeated. But that's okay.
What was that deck?
I was Bugs. Yeah. Oh, I played Prime.
Yeah,
I played Bugs, but I lost to Bugs. Lost to Bugs.
Yep.
And then from there, when I started building my own stuff, I just obviously had the stuff for Dinobots, so I kind of started making my own versions of dinos to see, put my take on it and see how I liked it and what I wanted to do with it. So I played that at another event. I went 3-1 at that event, and then last week in the showcase was the first time I'd ever piloted Bugs, and I went 2-2, which it was fine. I lost 2 tough matchups. It was really just a learning thing more than anything. So I have not played. I haven't played as much as I would have liked to have played up to this point, but I've been able to take a lot in. So I think going into Wave 2, I'll have a lot more time.
Well, and I think that's also speaks volumes of the team. Yeah. We all play different things well, or we all have a different outlook on certain matchups. It can be a point of contention a lot of times. But I think that we are all respectful of one another and respectful of each other's point of views. That we can be like, okay, I can see that, I understand that. I don't necessarily agree, or it hasn't played out that way for me. But I also think that every time that we play with each other, our results are different than if you just play against people that aren't on the team.
Yeah.
Which is it's kind of disheartening. But I think it's good that we have the caliber of player on this team where we want to be. Even
me, I'm fairly confident I'm the youngest one on the team, but even I have 15 years experience in just card gaming, So just the amount of experience in gaming, it's a lot to respect.
Yeah.
You need to respect your teammates' results. You need to be able to trust, everything that they're telling you, so you can make educated decisions when you don't have time to test. So
I'm pretty sure that's how Scott is. I don't think he plays unless he plays at an event. He does a lot of theory crafting, and stuff like that. I work second shift, so I don't get to play it all during the week. I only get to play on the weekends, and sometimes, it's just at my local game store. So that's, those are all results that you get. You gotta kind of take them with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
And you have to be like, well, I saw this person doing this. That's kind of interesting. Can we make that consistent or better? And then we either try and we're like, doesn't work.
Yeah.
Which normally happens.
Yeah.
We haven't found one that we're like, wow, they're really onto something.
Yeah. In fairness, I've said this before. I kind of wish we have. I wish there was maybe something a little more out of Wave 1 than maybe we got to. And I think a lot of that just comes down to there wasn't a lot of events when it was all said and done, like big events. Like I would have loved to see PAX get to like 50 people.
Yeah, that would have been great. I mean,
even 40, even like just say we got double what we got. And we got 21, 22, 23, I think, in one of them. But say if you even got 40 people, it'd have been really, really interesting to see what 40 people would have sleeved up, you know?
Yeah, and while we were there, you could see the guys that returned.
Yep.
And
I mean, you had the same 10, 15 guys every event.
Right, but you would see how their decks changed.
Yeah, there was a lot of... The whole weekend, even Scott himself had changed from day 1 to day 3. I think he ended up changing like 6, 7 cards, you know?
Yep.
That's almost 20% of the deck.
Maybe a card or two at a time.
Yeah.
It's just really interesting to see that evolution. And, you know...
Like, even me, from day 1 to day 3 Dinobots, I had changed, 10% of the deck. And that was just my call. I'm like, no, like, I want to play direct damage. Like, I want to be able to deal with Shrapnel and stuff like that. And it was just being able to pick up on that quick. And then you guys being able to resuscitate, like, that's probably a good decision. You probably do need that.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and also, day 1, there was also a lot of cars. Everybody's like, man, this deck's really great. And while I agree... After they ran into the double primes where they just can't do damage, it kind of just petered out after Friday's event. You didn't see it Saturday and Sunday at all, I don't think.
Even if it was like 4 people that played double primes on Friday, by the end of the weekend, it was probably closer to half the tournament.
Yeah, I would agree. Or not necessarily double primes, but at least half the tournament had Optimus Prime and Battlefield Legend in their deck, whether it was a 3-wide version. We saw a lot with... Scrapnel and Flame War. We saw some with Scrapnel and RC.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So Wave 1 was just... Obviously, you have a limited card pool.
Yep.
So when you have like such a small card pool, it's pretty difficult.
We have, less than 100?
Yeah, I think there's 81 battle cards.
Plus whatever Metroplex brought in, but that's only just his stuff.
He only brought in 3 cards.
Okay, yeah.
And they're only for Metroplex. So there's 81 cards you can build decks with, and Metroplex has 3 distinct cards.
84.
Right. And 2 of them aren't good.
So when you look at that, so for us, we're coming into our last event of Wave 1. And we just talked about all those different decks. Going into that last event, how do you respect the metagame? Like where do you think from PAX till now? I think the biggest thing that maybe have come out would have been last weekend where we started seeing these 3-wide decks with Prime now. So when you move from 2 tall to 3 wide, how does that affect your decision going into next weekend?
I don't actually think it affects my decision at all.
Okay.
And I don't know if it will necessarily affect many other players' decisions. I think right now, obviously the game is in its infancy, but I think a lot of people just have a deck that they enjoy.
Okay.
Or a team they enjoy. I like Dinobots, I want to play Grimlock, I want to do this. Or I like cars, I want to do this, they do really cool things.
I like turtles.
Well, there you go. We don't have any turtles yet, but who knows? Maybe Wave 3, Wave 4. I don't know.
I don't even know if there's turtle transformers.
There probably is. There has to be.
I mean,
right?
I don't even know. I won't lie. I don't even know.
There probably has to be somewhere.
I don't even know.
But I don't think that evolution will really change what I want to play. It did its showcase event. It didn't change what I played. It just changed the makeup of my deck.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I'm going to play 5 ways to remove armor in my deck as opposed to the normal 3 that I played.
Yeah. Just
because I wanted to be on easy mode.
Yeah.
And
how'd that turn out for you?
Well, most of the times I drew armor removal against an opponent that didn't have an armor.
Uh-huh.
And when they had armor, I didn't have one of the 5 cards. So, it didn't pan out well. I mean, I only lost 1 game all day in the Swiss.
Mm-hmm.
And
2 of the top 4.
Yeah. The only loss I had in the Swiss was to Joe, and that was round 2.
Yeah.
And then I lost to Scott in the finals 2-1.
Yeah.
So I only lost 3 games in 6 rounds, which...
Basically playing the same bugs deck minus 2 cards plus 2.
Yeah, I cut 2 zaps and just added 2 ramming speeds that I've been playing since PAX. The same deck.
Yeah.
So it... And maybe for the last event I want to play just something fun, something new. Or if I'm like, man, I don't really feel like I want to do this, I'll just play Bugs again. I just won't make any changes to it. But
yeah,
I really don't know until I'll probably decide the morning of.
That's an educated decision.
Yeah, I mean, we also aren't going to have any more actual results until that event. So we have like a 2-week time period where there's going to be no results outside of what people post from their local game store. 8 to 12 players, and obviously those results you have to take with a grain of salt as well.
Yeah. Like, even if it's just us getting together, playing a couple more games here and there, and just deciding, like, all right, maybe we make this change for this cut, and maybe that makes it better, who knows?
Yeah, maybe this helps us in this one particular matchup that we only know that one person's going to play well, but we want to be able to have game against that person.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I think also with events that are this size, between 20 and 30 players, I mean...
You got to respect the field.
You have to respect the field. You got to kind of play to the field.
Yeah.
You are going to... So there's 5 of us.
Yeah,
we're going to play. We're going to play.
Yeah, I don't think we're at the point yet where it's like any one deck is going to show up in, as like a... First of all, this doesn't happen in any game. No one deck shows up as like 60% of the field. It doesn't happen in any game.
Right.
Because that's just good gaming,
Yeah.
And like you said, I think a lot of people are just going to play... It's the last event, So everyone's just going to be like, oh man, it's my last chance to play with these cards. I'm going to play with my favorite cards,
Yeah.
I can see a lot of that going on.
And it could just be like, well, Wave 2's going to change everything, so I'm not really going to put any effort into trying to build a deck and break this meta game because it literally won't matter in 2 weeks because we'll get 81 more new battle cards and 42 more characters and mechanics that completely change the game, so... Why would you try and worry yourself on trying to make this...
For one last event.
Yeah. For a 4 or 5 round event with a top 4.
Yeah. No, I agree. So, speaking of this event at Top Deck Games in Collingswood, New Jersey on February 16th, how about we get a little bold? All right? Why don't you take your prediction of what the top 4 decks are going to be after the top cut?
The top 4, you say, and you want decks, right? Not players.
Yeah, no, not players. Decks. I want decks.
So I'm pretty sure that we're gonna have a 3-wide prime deck with double prime, starter Optimus, Flame War, and Battlefield Legend. That's gonna be one. I think we're gonna have a Metroplex. Man, the other 2 are gonna be tough. So I think we're actually going to have a double prime as well. We're going to have a Nemesis and the Battlefield Legend. And I think it depends what I decide to play. So if I decide to play Bugs, I think we're going to have a Bugs in the top 4. If I don't play Bugs, I think we're going to have a Dinobots in the top 4.
Okay.
So I think we're going to have 3 wide primes, a Metroplex, a double prime, and a Dinobot.
Okay. I don't hate your choice. I think I'm going to take Metroplex out. I don't think we're going to... I think we've had enough Metroplex in the area that I don't know. I don't feel good about it. I think people are starting to catch on how to play against it, too. Which is possible.
That could be as well.
I think it's stolen some events around us just because people really didn't understand how to play against it. And I think now once you play a couple games, you can probably... You figure it out. You're like, all right, I now know what my new goal is.
Yeah, you can pinpoint where you're like,
so
we attacked incorrectly in this game. Basically, when you play against Metroplex, you gotta sequence all your plays backwards.
Yes, you do. It's
because
really
they gain
really
attackers throughout the game instead of losing them. So it's very weird.
It's definitely weird, and that's why I think it does well against newer players because they just haven't figured out how to do that yet at the time. But now that it's been around, now that people have seen it. They've read about it on vectorsigma.info. I think you can make the right choices and get through it. So I think I'm going to stick with the 3-wide also. I think there'll be a 3-wide. I might even go as to say there might even be 2 3-wides.
2 3-wides.
I think it's possible. I think I think it's possible you get 2. And then I think I'll take a Bugs. I think Bugs will be there. And I think
it'll definitely be there.
Yeah, and I think I'll go 2 Tall Primes also. I think you'll also see either whether it be Brainstorm version, not Brainstorm version, Touch, whatever.
Yeah.
I think that deck can still just steal games and still just win games.
Yeah. So my prediction.
Anything with I think there's going to be at least 3 Optimus decks in the top 4.
Sure. Yeah. My prediction was 50% of the top 4 is Battlefield Legend. Your prediction is 75.
Yeah.
So if we look at it, that card is just busted. Good. Busted character. It's the best card in Wave 1. I currently think it's the best card for everything that we've seen in previews for Wave 2. So,
I agree with that.
Character-wise.
Sure.
I even think he's better than all the combiners.
Like combined.
Yeah, the big one. yeah, I just think he's better.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. He's got like 30 less health than some of them, but
it's going to be tough to usurp him. He is a legend.
Yeah. He's 13 stars.
Yeah.
He
should probably cost more.
He's 13 stars.
Yeah, he should cost more.
He's limited on choices of who we can play with.
Yeah.
However, that's proven to not matter as much.
Yeah, we've even seen some people that are you play Flame War or RC as your 5. So if you play RC, you're playing an aggressive orange heavy tilted deck. And if you're playing Flame War, you're playing a blue skewed deck. And then you have a 7 cost. So Scrapnel fits into either one. We've seen Demolisher. We've seen people play Cup. We've seen people play Starter, Optimus. We've seen people play Barrage. Those are the 7s.
It's a lot of 7 stars.
There's Snarl, but Snarl's not very good.
No, you're not going to play Snarl.
Yeah. But I think those are basically the only 7s that you have.
Yeah, and
people will play Cup over Snarl.
You could, sure.
And Cup is the worst statted character in the game.
But he's good in that formula.
He's
better than Snarl in that formula.
He's better than Snarl, so he's the second worst character you can play in that slot.
In that formula.
Yeah, so there's 5 others better than him. So
people are still going to play him.
Yeah, they will.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him with Snarl yet. So that's the only one I haven't seen in the 7th slot.
Maybe that's what you should do.
Maybe.
You should just play Snarl.
Yeah, maybe. Why not?
And just, I don't know.
That would put a Battlefield Legend and a Dinobot in the top 8.
Yeah, yes it would.
Yes.
There you go. Twofer. So, now that we predicted it, since we're not totally egotistical about it, we're a couple weeks out, still plenty of time. What are you leaning towards, though? What do you think you're going to end up sleeving up?
I don't know, but I know it's going to have Peace Tyranny in it. My deck is going to have 3 Peace Tyrannies, 3 Improvised Shields, and I'm going to try and deal a bunch of damage with orange cards. Whether that's in the form of Dinobots, whether it's in the form of Bugs, maybe an aggressive car build. I don't know what else. We could play some other sweet Wheeljack deck, because Wheeljack is the man.
He's pretty fun.
He's pretty awesome.
I've even had fun with him, so.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter who he's paired with.
No.
He's just...
Put him with Cosmos.
Yeah, you could.
See what happens.
It's kind of weird, because Wheeljack is the best card in whatever lineup he's in.
Yeah.
Unless he's with Battlefield Legends.
Yeah.
So...
Which, no one's done that.
I've seen it.
Oh, okay.
They didn't do well, but I've seen it.
Yeah, it seems terrible.
It's just not enough health or defense, but I've seen that deck. It's not very good.
Okay.
But I've seen it.
Okay.
What are you thinking about playing?
I don't know. I think I might keep with the trend of trying something new. I think just because I came in so late that I want to try and get the most out of Wave 1 as I can, so it'll help me make better decisions moving forward with Wave 2. I want to make sure I hit all these characters that I can in Wave 1, so when it comes to Wave 2, I can model them up against the newer ones, Yeah,
that makes sense.
So I think I'm still very much in that learning process of trying to value which character over another. So maybe I end up trying to sleeve up Bugs again just to get more games. I only played 4 rounds of Bugs, so playing more isn't going to hurt. Maybe it's just Dinobots again also, because I feel like Dinobots is a deck that could get stronger in Wave 2 and could get some help. So like just staying on that, maybe trying to figure out which cards are the worst in the deck for sure, so I know where I want to start my cuts. Or I mean, maybe it's even just sleeving up cars. Like I haven't played a lot of cars yet. Now the reason I wouldn't play cars is because it's a lot to think and it's a lot of mistakes that I can make. So I don't know if it's the best setting to just play cars and then make mistakes all day.
Yeah, I mean, cars is very difficult.
It's difficult to play well.
It's difficult to play well, yes.
So
sometimes you just bold up Wheeljack and attack for 18.
Yeah, sometimes do that.
And then sometimes you don't draw an untap effect and you just get romped.
You just do nothing. Or sometimes you go against blue decks and you do 1 damage to Flame War twice.
Yeah, you gotta attack him 5 times to kill him. Yeah, sometimes that happens.
Sometimes. You might see that happen sometime in the future, guys.
Yeah. Hopefully we never have to see that. But I think that deck is a skill-intensive deck.
Yeah.
That deck, more so than bugs, you need to set up for that wheel turn. You got to set up very far in advance.
Yeah, that's why it would be the only reason why I probably won't play it, just because like of the fear that I don't have enough experience like outside of it. I don't want to just like show up to an event and just play this deck that's insanely hard to play.
Yeah,
I'd rather played like 20 games with it beforehand or something.
Yeah, and even then, even if you play 20 games, I mean, I can guarantee you there's players out there who played more than 20 games with it and are still mis-sequencing it.
Yeah.
In the very beginning, people were just attacking with Prowl first and getting killed. I
saw people doing it last weekend.
Right, so that was...
I even suggested them at the end of the game, like, you probably shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Because, like, even I know that just isn't what you should be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, everybody, their play groups are different. They don't all want to play at a super competitive level, which is fine. This game has an insanely big following for the IP. People love Transformers. And I know that in some of the interviews that Scott's done, Scott and Vince, with Drew, he's the brand manager, he says some people from their information gathering, this is their first card game ever.
Wow.
So, wow. I mean,
okay.
Some of the questions that we've been fielding are just kind of like second nature to us. Like, what are you, stupid?
Yeah.
And to them, they actually don't understand.
Yeah.
And
they're
I think
actively learning.
Yeah. So I think we're at that point in this game where there's a lot of people that just don't understand how to properly evaluate cards, which is weird to me because, I've been playing, you've been playing for so long. Like, how can you still not evaluate these cards? Well, maybe this person just bought a starter deck and 16 boosters, and they're building a deck, and they don't understand how to...
Maybe it has 6 handheld blasters.
Maybe it does.
Yeah, it's weird to me because, like, I'm a little bit younger than you guys, and I never was into Transformers, So, like, to hear that it really is this big of a following, that, like, this is someone's first card game because it's Transformers, it kind of blows me away, For me, I might not have ever watched Transformers cartoon as a kid, I don't know, I'm not saying that I didn't know it existed, obviously I did, but, like, it was never, never big to me, like, when the first movie came out, I went and seen it because it was like a live-action movie, and it was like, all right, whatever, this is cool.
Yeah, it's just metal clashing into metal.
Yeah, it's just, it's just action, But, like, it got to the point now where, now that I'm playing this game, I'm going back and I'm actually, like, actively watching older stuff and researching just because I'm like, all right, I'm into it now. Like, I want to know, like, why not?
Yeah.
Like, it's just something, I travel a lot, so, like, when I'm on my planes, it's something to watch, it's something else to learn. It's just funny that you said that. Like, I can't believe, like, oh, this is my first game because it's Transformers. That's crazy.
Yeah, and that's the IP just drew them in.
That's crazy.
Yeah, property. They're like, wow, this is great.
Yeah.
This is.
I mean, like, I'm sure that happened in WoW.
Yeah,
I'm sure it did.
I know that there was a lot of people that
There's a lot of people
that. It was like they're like, well, I play the MMO. I play Rogue Online.
Yep.
I'm gonna play Rogue.
Yeah.
Here. Or whatever it was, Hunter, whatever you wanted to play.
Yeah, I'm sure. I don't know. I never thought of it like that for Transformers. That's weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's different. Yeah.
So it's definitely humbling to play for so long and have people that haven't played card games get into it. It's also kind of cool because like a lot of the people that are into it or were into it, big in the 80s.
Yeah.
So now they're mid 30s, they're early 40s. They have kids.
Yeah.
So it's something that they're playing with their kids.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of that, and it's really cool to witness that generational bonding over something that you had as a kid, and you can share it with your kid.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
I mean, even if you look at just like the length of Transformers and that as a whole, like the fact that here we are 30 years later and it's still relevant,
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
You can't say that about a lot of things.
Right, yeah. I mean, people are just able to rattle off a whole bunch of figures, action figures. It's like, my gosh.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I honestly didn't know that they even made them, after I was a kid, middle school, high school. I assumed it would have died out like G.I. Joe's. Maybe G.I. Joe's aren't even dead. I don't know. I don't know.
Depends which movie you watch.
Right, yeah. I mean, I do love Channing Tatum. So.
It's tough. All right, well, what are your final feelings? Here
on Wave 1 or just on life?
At the end of Wave 1, how do you feel Wave 1 was? Like, what was your ups, what was your downs? Like, what do you love that Wave 1 brought to the table?
So, I think Wave 1 was, it was simple, but it was also extremely deep. With all the strategy involved. There wasn't a lot of convoluted things that you were trying to do. All the cards were pretty straightforward for the most part. For me, they were all straightforward. But I think it was simple enough that you could teach somebody in 10 or 15 minutes how to play this game.
Really?
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah. But, I mean, the amount of strategy and depth to gameplay that you can do is insane to me. So I think they did that very well. And then, I mean, that's also, I think, one of the downfalls for me. The simplified mechanics to, get new players in, which I can't fault them for doing that. But for me, I wanted there to be more play to my cards. Or what I was expecting Wave 2 to be more like Wave 1, but we were just going to get different cards instead of them making a whole bunch of new things, new mechanics. I thought they were going to take it slow and have like Wave 1, things very similar in Wave 2. And
so are you happy about that then? Because it's adding all these new rules?
No, I'm actually not.
Okay.
I understand why they did it. The combiners are cool, man. They look cool. You get to put 5 guys together and make this huge dude and attack. Look, man, people like it.
Sure.
I'm not saying that I'm one of those people.
I'm not on board yet.
Right.
Not yet. I mean, I can change. My mind can be changed.
But I wanted to see more counterplay to some of the cards that we got in Wave 1, or have some more.
Like it doesn't feel like there's been any like overcorrections. Like there's not like a anti-Battlefield Legend,
Right. Yeah.
So like you were expecting stuff like that. So
I was expecting to see in Wave 2.
You could see the metagame grow in that way.
Right.
In this way, it's growing in a different direction because there's so much new things that you're not necessarily sure where we're going to go with it.
Right. So there's a bunch of new stuff coming out that doesn't necessarily fix some of the powerhouses from Wave 1. There's not like a counter to Optimus Prime Battlefield Legends.
At this moment, there's no silver bullets.
Right, and I was expecting them to be like, well, Wave 2 is going to be Decepticon focused. We're going to show you this badass Megatron. He's going to be awesome.
They did show us a badass Megatron.
Well, okay, but I'm talking like one on the power level.
They even showed us badass cards with Megatron on them.
Well, yes, those cards are some of the best cards in Wave 1. If they have Megatron on them, they're good. Unless it's a character from Wave 1.
Yeah.
But all the battle cards with Megatron on them are awesome. And I think that's also the case currently for Wave 2. But I was kind of hoping there would be, Optimus is your hero. We need the anti-hero for the villain. and we need him to be on that same power level. In Wave 1, Megatron Living Weapon is not even close to the same power level as Battlefield Legend.
Yeah.
And I was kind of hoping they would flesh out more of that simple stuff and give us just double the card pool and see where we could go from there, instead of making a bunch of new mechanics.
New pip.
Yeah.
New combat effects because of the pip.
Yeah. Now, I like those things. I'm just...
Yeah.
I wanted it to be more fleshed out. Yeah, I wasn't expecting them to go this big as fast.
Yeah.
I was expecting this to be like that, to be like Wave 3, Wave 4, something like that.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, for me, coming in, like, you know, basically full 2 months after release, I was immediately intrigued. You know, from, like, literally the first games playing with Palmer, I was very, very interested with how the game played and how it felt different. You know, it really feels different from, like, mostly anything you've ever played before. And that always intrigued me. It was kind of like with Game of Thrones. When I started playing Game of Thrones, like, that game was just so different from any other card game that I had played. So it was, like, it was just so interesting how combat worked and how, you know, your count on cards worked. And it just... That's what brought me to really enjoy Transformers that weekend. You know, like last year at PAX Unplugged, you know, I wrote this in my article. I just played a couple random Magic events, like, just because, like, to kill time. But, like, the rest of the weekend, I was just playing random games in the hall, like, learning new board games and stuff like that. I really plan to do that again this year at PAX, but literally I played the first tournament. I'm like, all right, this game's pretty sweet, and I immediately signed up and played the second one. So the game really, you know, it really brought me on board. I mean, so much that I'm here, you know, talking to you about it now. And, you know, I love like the subtle things, like why is it that 10 stars is specifically a point in the game that, like, you get this really, really unique ability? You know, like, why does Bumblebee at 10 stars can flip over and attack whoever he wants? Why does Grimlock at 10 stars get this trample ability to deal over damage that no one else can do? You know?
Yeah.
A lot of those things, like, really, really intrigued me about those cards. And I've had so much fun playing. You know, I've had fun playing, I've had fun talking about it, I've had fun getting to know new people. You know, I mean, hey, I didn't even know you before PAX. Yeah. You know, and, like, here we are, you know, a couple months later, and I talk to you almost every day, most of the day.
Yeah,
you know, and that's cool. Like, that's what card games are for. They're for meeting new people. They're for, you know, taking you to places you wouldn't normally go, which is the hope. The hope is that this game gets to that point, so we're like where we can just travel and play at all these PAX events and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. I had never been to a gaming convention before PAX Unplugged. That was the very first one I went. Scott was like, "Hey, are we going to PAX?" I said, "I don't know. I've never been to one." Mm-hmm. And he's like, "Well, we should go." I said, "Okay." I bought my 3-day pass. And
fairness, Scott had bought his pass in May before he had ever talked to you.
Well, sure, yeah. I don't even think.
But when he bought that, he had no intention of playing Transformers. I'll tell you that much. Want to know why?
Oh, because it wasn't released. It wasn't released until Gen Con.
Didn't even know about it.
Yeah.
You know?
So
look how fast...
He was going regardless.
No, I'm saying he would have played Destiny. He would have played Destiny.
Oh, okay.
For sure. But, just think about that.
Maybe he could have played Keyforge.
No, he would not have played Keyforge.
He could have. You don't know.
We're not going to talk about this. He wouldn't have played Keyforge. But just that's what card games do. You know, they bring people together, and it's cool. It's fun and it's entertaining. And I that's what I think at Wave 1 did for me. Wave 1, I haven't felt this way about a game since WoW. So, like, the fact that, like, I'm here and I'm putting all this effort in towards this game, it's a big thing because I haven't felt at home since WoW. So being here, learning and playing and creating, it's just fun, you know. And I at the base level that the game is able to do that for me, I'm only excited about whatever else comes now. You know, I'm excited for the Wave 2 changes because to me it's somewhat less impactful because I wasn't there from the start. So, like, for me, I can look at Wave 2 as my breath of fresh air of, okay, now I get to really think about how I want to do things at Wave 2. Whereas when I came into Wave 1, it mostly felt like everyone already had it going on.
Yeah, and I do remember some conversations like, well, what about this? But nah, it's not.
Yeah,
really good.
I mean, I literally you guys on a daily basis were just like, no, Dan, you're wrong. Shut up. And I'm like, okay, I get it.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that now Wave 2 comes out and it's like, hey, what about this? And I don't know.
Every card's a debate.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't know if this card's good. Some people think some cards are extremely playable. I think some cards are unplayable. And we're probably both wrong.
Yeah.
So they're probably playable in certain areas. I don't think they made any unplayable cards. There's 2 in Wave 1 that are like unplayable.
But are they unplayable or are they currently unplayable?
I think they're unplayable.
Okay.
I think that they were there because they were starter cards and they just need to do something. The armor, the blue armor that gives you +1 defense.
Sure.
Which has already been invalidated in Wave 1.
Sure. Because tough is just, yeah, sure.
Right. And there's other armors that do that plus have text on them.
Sure.
And then I don't remember what it's called, but the one that makes them discard down to 3 cards in their hand.
Oh, I don't even know what that is.
Exactly.
But that just sounds really bad.
Yeah.
Wow.
I haven't seen anybody even try and play that.
Okay.
It's
I don't know why you would. I don't ever have cards in my hand.
Or not more than 3.
Yeah. So, all right.
And even if you do, you don't even get
orange?
Yeah. You don't even get to pick the card. They choose and discard down to 3.
Okay.
But who knows? Maybe in Wave 2 that card might be playable.
Maybe.
But I don't think the armor is.
The armor is, yeah. All right. The armor it's in the starter deck.
Yeah.
Well, it's simple. It's just, hey, this is what this
This
does.
is an armor. It's blue.
That's what it's there for. Now, the other card, I don't know why that's in a starter deck. That's not
in the starter deck. That's in the boosters.
All right.
That's in the boosters. I can't remember what it's called. It's
that's
just
fair.
that bad.
I don't think it matters.
No.
All right.
No, it doesn't.
Well, I think that's gonna. If you're done, if you don't have anything else to say about Wave 1, if you feel like we touched all the bases.
Yeah, I think so. I think we touched enough. I think people are probably sick and tired of us talking. I mean, I'll hear more in the future. Maybe.
I don't know. The
Depends
one
if they
thing we can know for sure is that you can catch up on anything you want from Wave 1 and anything you can possibly need so far from Wave 2 at vectorsigma.info. You can constantly check the YouTube page. We are growing. We're growing. Getting out as much as we can, as often as we can, and we're open to suggestions. If there's something you want to see
that doesn't have cup in it,
or
that armor.
Yeah.
Well, we will we will take that suggestion.
If there's anything you want to see Mark play or Dan play, let the Hotshots know.
Mostly Dan.
Until next time, Autobots roll out.